Hey everyone, this is Raul Ramirez of Kung Fu Culture. So welcome back. Thanks for listening or checking us out on YouTube and stuff. So first things first is go and get through the news stuff. So our UCLA classes will be starting I think not next week, but the week after. So 2 weeks, we're back in action at UCLA, but we'll have quite a few classes, most days of the week. So if you are a UCLA student, please just know you can get the. We have like a pass that allows you to take all the martial arts classes. So you can try out all the different classes, see which ones you like. I'm teaching several this quarter, so feel free to drop in, try the different styles, um, and just continue. So if you happen to like Sanda, we got plenty of Sanda going on at UCLA. So feel free to come check it out, try it out. Hopefully you like it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If we do happen to have, so like if you're not a UCLA student and you're not in the Los Angeles area, you can also try to learn. I put a couple of courses on our website at kungfuculture.com. So a couple to check out. I think one is like a lot takedown based. Another one is self-defense based. So like it'll be like self-defense fundamentals, and then a lot of basically takedowns for MMA. So it's kind of a combo class on our website, so you can feel free to take that. I think what I'll do is maybe because we have a membership on our YouTube channel that you can join, we have extra videos on there. I'll try to put more videos on there basically. So feel free to leave a comment, let us know what you want to see. It doesn't necessarily have to be Sanda in particular, but if you're into any other aspect of like kung fu, so even our Chinese wrestling, some of the wrist locks, like Chinese kung fu is really into wrist locks. So if you're interested in stuff like that, let me know. We can always do some extra stuff for like the members. So yeah, just hit me up basically. So it's that easy. So just let us know. All right. So actually, yeah, let's just answer one question real quick. Elite Black Sash, any in-person classes for non-UCLA students? You just have to be a member of our gym, the John Wooden Center, to take classes. But I also teach at Fight Science MMA in Los Angeles. So I teach catch wrestling there. Right now, they already have like other like kickboxing classes, or so I don't teach those ones, but I have access to the gym, so I can do private lessons there. So if you're able to do private lessons, we can always schedule one. We can always schedule them at Fight Science MMA in Los Angeles. It's located in Mid City, so it should be kind of like its name kind of suggests. It's right in the middle of Los Angeles, so feel free to send a message if you would like to do lessons like that, or maybe we can even do small group lessons and stuff. So that's always available. It's just there's no set Sanda class listed, or there's no official Sanda class at the MMA studio. Because they've had their schedule for a long time, even before I went there. So that's why they did want the wrestling or the catch wrestling. They had a need for that and an opening in the schedule. So that's why I'm in there. But yeah, everything else would have to be kind of like non-class time, but totally possible. Totally fine with the gym. All right. So with that being said, if anybody else has any questions at any time, feel free to comment. Um, Also, too, hopefully the sound sounds better. The last live stream seemed to be I don't know, the sound was a little weird, I think. So I have a different microphone right now. So hopefully everything is sounding okay. All right. So with that being said, what's happening right now is I don't know if you've seen it. It's free to watch on YouTube, it is the Junior World Wushu Championships. So it's not just Sanda, but also, of course, all the different form stuff that is happening right now. It's happening in Brunei. So what I think it shows like what's great about Kung Fu is because like people all around the world are practicing some kind of kung fu. So it's like I'm not saying like everyone is practicing some kind of kung fu, but people around the world are practicing either the forms or like like the tai chi stuff, the different wushu stuff, like the tao. It's called it's all called wushu. Uh, just for your information, but the forms is called Taolu, and then the kickboxing is called Sanda. And so right now we have like the juniors going, and actually they even have kids division. So they have the children's division. So it's like age 12 to 14, I believe. So you're having kids fighting. They have, of course, they have different rules. They can't like kick to the head and stuff like that. But then you have the juniors, so that's like the teenagers fighting. We have a lot of great matches going on, and they're all free to watch. It's on the Wushu TV YouTube channel. Every session is there, so it's actually quite a lot of hours of stuff. So if you're only interested in the forms, you can watch that because they separate them. And if you just want to watch the Sanda, feel free to watch that. So, it's all up to you. And so I've been trying to watch as much as I can of the Sanda, and I'm trying to put clips up there. I don't know if you've noticed. You can check out our shorts. I've been trying to put clips up there. I've already made a bunch more that I haven't posted yet. I'm going to try to get to that as soon as possible. I just finished watching another session of Sanda, but there's still more sessions because they have 2 times a day sessions, so morning session and afternoon session. So a lot of Sanda going on. They have a lot of divisions going on, so that's why. So I want to still try to get you some of the highlights, and so you can feel free to watch the whole thing, from Wushu TV, but I'll also try to pick out some things that I found interesting. There are a lot of cool techniques going on. So even the one match I'm thinking about was one that happened yesterday. It was this Brazilian young man. I think it was the junior division, I believe. It wasn't a child, but he had a lot of really cool throws. Um, so I was able to get some clips of that, and I'll start posting them hopefully tonight. Because there are a lot of really cool fighters. Um, I try to show some of the takedown stuff, but some people are great at striking, and I think that's one of the things that for Sanda practitioners you have to keep in mind. Like, don't just try to rely on your wrestling. Um, so, but with that being said, I just heard a Bruce Lee quote. I'm sure you can probably just look it up, but because I wasn't even planning on talking about it right now, but I guess there's a Bruce Lee quote that talks about like, um, and I think that this might be a good way to get into the main subject for today. Is just so I guess the quote goes something along the lines like, a good boxer can do so much, right? A good boxer can beat up a lot of people, basically, but then when they meet the kickboxer, then chances are they might have a lot of difficulty or they could lose, right? So you kind of put like the boxer above or the kickboxer above the boxer, but then he says above all of that is the wrestler, right? Because then they can just level change or catch the kick and throw you down or get that double leg. So it was kind of like a hierarchy that he had some quote about. I should have looked it up, but I wasn't planning on talking about it. But so it was like the grappler, kickboxer, and then boxer. So with these things kind of being combined in one, that is basically Sanda. Right? And so one of my coaches in China, he was one of the earlier guys, his name is Guanjian Min. He was one of the earlier guys who helped develop the sport in China. And even in an interview of him that I read just a few years ago, he was talking about that Sanda has to remember that it is a kickboxing style. It just happens to have the grappling in there. So it happens to have the wrestling in there. So, but you don't want to neglect the kickboxing or the striking aspect, because yeah, you can get knocked out, right? Especially if you're not in the children's division, right? If you're in the adults, the senior division, competing internationally, I mean, you could totally get knocked out by a really good striker. So you have to keep all of that in mind. But with that being said, if you're excellent at takedowns, you're excellent at the wrestling, you can still win by getting those big takedowns, throwing someone off of the lei tai, because in international competition they use the lei tai. So if you throw someone off the stage twice, right, you can win. And um, but the main thing is that you have to have good balance. So you can't just throw them off and you fall down at the same time, and none of that stuff will count. You have to clearly kick them and so there's several times where in the current world championships where someone kicked the other person and they fell off of the stage. So yeah, those count. Stuff like that counts. So if you both fall off, it doesn't count. So, it's just different ways to show dominance. But what I wanted to start, or what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to use to kind of lead into our conversation today, was the idea that uh, a few weeks ago, I was talking to this one MMA fighter. This guy's retired, but he runs a business where he teaches. Basically, does a lot of personal training for kickboxing, like Muay Thai stuff. And he was asking me about, like, why isn't Sanda more popular? And he'd heard of it, and he thinks it looks cool, and but he never really looked into it too much. And but even based on stuff of like the way he was training, it kind of just made me think, like, I think I know at least one reason why Sanda isn't as popular, especially like in the United States, is that you'll have Muay Thai fighters or boxers training in a specific way. So you can always look up like boxing training, and you can see someone, even like really famous boxers, like hitting pads really fast and really hard and stuff. But you don't necessarily see that happening when you see Sanda training. So I think that's one of the bigger differences. What you will see in a lot of these Sanda training videos, even like like the ones from China, you'll see people practicing a lot of the takedowns or shorter combinations. You can totally use, or you can totally get benefit from a lot of like the boxing drills and stuff, but it it doesn't like, you're not going to see it happen that much, but it doesn't necessarily benefit the Sanda fighter per se. But I think it will benefit the boxer, because there's no kicks, right? There's no knees, there's no wrestling. So a lot of these drills that you see boxers do, it is very sport specific, and you won't necessarily see it happening as much with Sanda fighters. Even though any Sanda person can do it, and I do recommend, say, like if a Sanda practitioner wants to get better at throwing punches, by all means, isolate the hands, right? Do boxing, like take a boxing class. I think one thing that you don't really see, or one thing that I would say is missing, or that I'd wish more practitioners threw, was the uppercuts. So in my classes, we do work on that. We work on trying to make that one of the punches that people will throw, because quite often it's like straight punches and hooks, but like the uppercuts there a lot, right? So especially if you clinch up, you can start throwing a lot of these uppercuts and really get like do a lot of damage, right? Or you can get someone to let go of you if they're trying to grapple with you using the uppercuts. In my last national tournament, yeah, I just the guy was grabbing me and got that uppercut to his face. Instantly, his nose was bleeding and stuff. So it did a lot of damage, and I won the match. So it's a great it's a great technique. So if someone wants to like isolate or improve one aspect, right, then they can do that, right? They can work on their grappling, they can work on their stand-up takedown, their takedowns, they can work on the kickboxing aspect. But I wouldn't necessarily say that a Sanda practitioner is practicing or learning Sanda in the same way even a Muay Thai practitioner does, right? So people here in the United States, they will go to Thailand and train, or they will go to, or they can go to their local boxing gym. Like in LA, we have several. Where I grew up was like we had like a very famous boxing gym for all the Latino kids. I grew up in a predominantly Latino area, so we had quite a historic boxing gym. So they're they're around, right? So I think because they're around or they're part of our like U.S. culture, then people will view striking from that perspective. And then when you see something like Sanda, where they're not doing the same things, they're not doing using the same training methods or the same like they're not hitting the pads exactly the same way, then I think people get confused and they dismiss it, or they and then they wonder like, oh, why isn't it more popular? Well, it's because just like in grappling or wrestling, right now jiu-jitsu is so popular that when people don't do things that are exactly the same as jiu-jitsu, then they're like, oh, well, that's not effective, or oh, like they should just do jiu-jitsu, or that's weird, that's strange. So people who do things that are like not mainstream, they I'm sure those of you who are out there who don't do mainstream things, I'm sure you've heard all kinds of people who are like in the mainstream thinking like, oh, well, that's not effective, or I wouldn't, we don't do that in jiu-jitsu. Or so same thing with Sanda and striking. You're going to see a lot of people um, talk about like, oh, we don't do that in Muay Thai, and but then what they're going to assume though is like whatever they do, because it's more mainstream, that is the best thing. So like a Muay Thai practitioner will think that their striking style is the absolute best, and everything else that's different is like inferior and strange. So I think that ultimately is like the main reason why people do, or why Sanda isn't as popular in the West as in like other countries. Like it's like I'm saying right now, it's like we're having the World Junior Sanda Championship, and they have it in different countries every year. But so you see so many countries right participating. They're like right now. In the earlier Sanda competitions, we had like Romania and like all the different. It's happening in Brunei. We had all these different Iran and India, all these different countries participating. So it's cool. It's totally global, but it's just not necessarily what I see being taught so much in the United States. And so that's ultimately what I'm talking about. So while it is popular around the world, it isn't quite so popular here in the United States. All right, so we got another comment here. So Elite Black Sash. Whenever I see Sanda Shuaijiao training pop up on my feed, the video is always focused around the team being instructed. There aren't ambassadors, superstars like Boaka, Baka. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. I know what you're talking about, the Senchai, Superlek, etc. Yeah, I think it's true, and I think one of the reasons, another reason why it's like you'll have, especially in the United States, you'll have people who um well, you don't have like Americans basically. So who do we have that's like really doing a lot of the Sanda? Like people who don't speak English, right? And even though like the superstar Thai people don't necessarily speak English, They have more Muay Thai events, so they have like a lot of videos, and then also you have say like one championship run by the CEO is Thai, and he's like a big fan of Muay Thai, and he was like a big proponent of promoting Muay Thai. So you have like a new generation being introduced to these stars, right? Like basically all of them, all like Mongo. I'm sure a lot of people didn't even know about him, and but yeah, it's like you're having basically we're having you're having a big promotion promoting these fighters, and so then you're getting a lot of people learning about them. Even with a Jonathan Haggerty or whatever, from England, beating a lot of these people, so you have like this. You're getting this buzz about it, right? So I think you're totally right, because then who do we have in Sanda? We just had the Brazilian, uh, I forgot her first name, but Dumont in UFC win her match against Irene Aldana in that Mexican focused UFC event called Noche. I think it's a I personally, I think it's interesting. I don't know why they call it noche, because it's just like night or evening or whatever. So um, I don't know. I don't follow the UFC that much, but yeah, it was that event they called noche, and but it's like focused on Latinos and Mexicans in particular. But the Mexican didn't win. The Mexican Aldana was a boxing based fighter against Dumont, who was a Sanda champion from Brazil. And yeah, the kickboxing won her that match completely. The movement, the lead leg kicks, it was very Sanda. She even threw a side thrust kick, but yeah, she's not necessarily speaking English, um, and it's not like she's like the most hyped up, right? You have all of the like the men, basically the guys in the men's divisions are more household names than anyone in the women's division. And yeah, and that's the other thing too. A lot of the Sanda fighters are women, basically the Chinese women, and even if say like one of the most famous men who fought in the UFC, Kung Lee, who had the Sanda background. For there was a while there where he wasn't even claiming Sanda. He was saying like, "Oh, Taekwondo," or so. Yeah, I think you're right. Where like say like even if we had someone who was from the United States, spoke English, perfect English, and was winning and stuff, um, we like we'd have to have that, and we have to make sure that they're claiming Sanda, that they're doing Sanda, in order to help promote it, right? So I think Sanda has a lot like against it in that way. Luckily, or at least one good thing, is that recently we've been having like a lot of the martial arts YouTubers talk about it. Like we had, was it that? Uh, I think his name is Seth. That he went the to train in Sanda. You even had the professional kickboxer Gabriel Varga talk about it. How he talked about how like they're different, but they're very tough, like the Chinese Sanda fighters, and so you had a lot of people, uh, like say like Gabriel Varga, who actually wins in kickboxing against Thais, really great Thai fighters, talking good about Sanda. But yeah, again, he's not a Sanda fighter. So yeah, I think you're right. Like having these ambassadors, um, they're kind of few and far between. Say like someone talking good about Sanda doesn't necessarily make them a Sanda fighter, even if they're a great fighter like Gabriel Varga. So yeah, it's kind of like few and far between, and like we need some help. Elite Black Sash. On the Kung Fu side, most people I know outright reject the idea much of Kung Fu is actually grappling, and those roots are in Sanda, Shuaijiao, Shobo. The grappling with the striking turned them off. Okay, yeah, well then that would be another thing that we'd have to deal with, where it's like, yeah, people. But I think that goes back to like say like the cultural thing, where it's like people are used to the boxing, and then maybe the kickboxing, but then the wrestling separate or the jujitsu separate. But it's so weird how they how you've run into people um not liking the boxing and with the striking because it's like, well, that's MMA, right? So people get all these weird mental hangups. Right. Let's see what's the next thing. It's like kickboxing and wrestling is not so stylized, so that's not kung fu. But if you know the arts, you can see when someone is kickboxing or wrestling versus Sanda and Shuai Jiao. Yeah, exactly. Because I think what people don't know about like these takedowns is that say like or these takedown arts, like say judo can't grab the legs, Greco-Roman wrestling can't grab the legs, right? So when you're doing a lot of like these styles, or when you see someone doing samba, you can grab legs, you can do a lot of these knee, like the knee tap or like blocking knee stuff. That's always been part of it, and so yeah, the coming from that Chinese perspective, they've had this blend, right? They didn't compartmentalize the martial arts as much. And so then the different martial arts had, say, like takedowns already baked into a striking style. And yeah, so like whereas in the West, we've had boxing separated from the wrestling, and then we've had like what kind of like these demonstration matches where yeah, it was like the boxer versus the wrestler and stuff like that. So yeah, so in the West, or primarily, I guess maybe in the United States, where Sanda isn't as popular, you get these weird perspectives. I showed a friend of so Elite Black Sash. I showed a friend of mine a Chen Village Tai Chi tournament, and he was kind of shocked. It was all grappling. Yeah, because they're all about like not being able to get taken down, right? That's a big thing of Tai Chi, where it's like rooting into the ground, showing that you're so stable that people can't push you over easily. That's a huge part of Tai Chi, like that balance. And yeah, these different types of push hand things, or different types of Chinese, or not Chinese, but Tai Chi, like competitions, is that like, can I take you down because you should be so good at staying standing because your base and your balance should be that great, because that is a big thing in Tai Chi in particular. So yeah, you're right. But it's like, yeah, it's like it's so foreign to a lot of people. Like a lot of the things about Chinese martial arts is just something they don't hear about. And it's like the philosophy isn't the same philosophy, I think, even as in Muay Thai. So like even like the countries nearby, right? So like Thailand still has a different martial art philosophy. And then definitely in the United States or Western countries, the philosophies of martial arts, vary, and they're not necessarily mixed martial arts as much as China. Right? So unless it is, say, like in the United States, unless there is a specific mixed martial arts class, then maybe people might not understand, like, oh, why am I kickboxing and then taking someone down? This is like how you said earlier, your comment earlier about like how people get weird about that, right? They either want striking only or takedown or grappling only. But yeah, it's kind of weird though. Like if these people happen to be MMA fans, it's like, well, you should kind of welcome the whole thing, right? Because that's what makes Sanda very, very fun, right? So you have the whole idea where you can get taken down or you can get knocked out or whatever. So you got the grappling, you get the striking, and so it is a very difficult puzzle. Yeah. So I think, yeah. So Elite Black Sash, thank you for your help. Really, kind of helping me to flesh out the idea, because yeah, you'll see people who maybe have some Western training and they've seen like, or they've seen some cool highlights of Sanda, and like they thought like, wow, it looks cool and whatnot, and so then they're wondering why it's like not as popular. Well, yeah, you have it's like the mentality. Some same thing. It's like why is a movie popular in one country and it's not popular in another country? It's like kind of the same idea. And even though there's like a lot of value in Sanda in particular, and we're seeing Sanda be more and more effective, or people who do Sanda practitioners winning in these things. Like another thing besides the UFC, same weekend there in Singapore, there was the Karate Combat promotion. They had their event. They had a championship, and so I can't remember who the opponent was, but the Sanda fighter, his last name is Rind, Rand, from Pakistan, and yeah, he won. He won the championship. He is a Sanda fighter. Even on the tail of the tape, where it shows his stats and all that, it says Wushu Sanda. He is a Sanda fighter fighting in the Karate Combat rules or rule format. So it was actually kind of funny. Like the highlight that they still showed for his match, in between rounds, he did a Sanda throw that was, I guess, is considered illegal in karate. So he got under the person, like did this huge lift, turned them, and slammed the guy. And the commentators are saying like this looks really great, but it's still illegal in karate or whatever. But it still looks awesome. So it was like in the highlight, right? So kind of like how you were saying, where it's like, yeah, it's like it's totally baked in all the grappling stuff. But yeah, you'll have people say like coming from karate, or like say like in the United States, karate was so popular for a very long time. But I think it's because a lot of the styles are pretty much only punching and kicking, like a lot of the Shotokan stuff, or um, that got popular, right? So it's like you kind of have like this version where it's still compartmentalized, where it's like you got the striking only, maybe not so much of the grappling, and then we see something like Sanda. It's bizarre, but someone who has a Sanda background can still do very well in a thing like karate combat, right? And he can still win a championship, even though maybe he might revert to his his Sanda instinct, right? But he was still able to kickbox enough or do karate enough well enough to win a championship. Rind has had several fights in karate combat, so that's why he was up for the championship. And also that's free. That's free for you to watch on YouTube. Check out Karate Combat, their last event. Just I would say don't skip to the end of that video just to watch the fight, because this fight is not at the end, even though his is the championship match. They had some kind of weird thing. Like, if you want to watch it, I think it might be interesting. Where so then the Karate Combat thing had their whole event, right? So they had the whole fight card. And then after the fight card was over, so after Rind won, then they had like some, I don't want to say like, I don't know, they had influencer fights. So people who are popular on social media, they had some karate fights. And, but yeah, it wasn't like so serious. Of course, none of them were actual fighters, but yeah, you can see influencers fighting each other. So that is at the end. So I would say like don't skip to the end to catch the Rind fight. It's not at the end, even though it was the last fight. But it's free for you to watch on YouTube. Yeah. All right. So thanks again, Elite Black Sash, for chiming in. I think that really helped kind of flesh out some of the ideas. Yeah. So with that being said, though, too, if you're interested in learning Sanda and you're not in the Los Angeles area, so well, let's go back to if you're in the Los Angeles area, feel free to like hit me up. We can do private lessons. If you have access to the university gym, I teach at UCLA. There, I teach a lot of Sanda classes. I also teach catch wrestling there. And even some Tai Chi there. I've learned several styles of Tai Chi and internal Kung Fu stuff. So I teach a lot of that there. A lot of the Chinese stuff is very popular there. So I have a lot of classes there. So if you have access, you can. We have like a martial arts pass, so you'd be able to just take every class you want. And we also have a wide variety of martial arts that are taught there. Of course, like we have, I actually co-instruct a jujitsu class. So we have so many classes. I don't teach every class, right? But we have all these different styles. So, um, but then if you are not in the Los Angeles area, feel free to take the classes that I have. I've posted a few courses on our website, kungfuculture.com. And we also have a membership thing. If you just want to help out, we have a bunch of videos. If you become a member of our YouTube channel, that I think we'll just basically, I'll keep adding more and more to that. And so then with that being said, if you have any questions or any aspect of Kung Fu that you want to learn about, I know a lot of people, they tend to want to learn about the takedowns. And then I think people also are interested in learning about the China, like the wrist locks and stuff. So if you're interested, just comment, let us know what you want to learn about, and definitely happy to kind of share this, like the kung fu, and make it more, or be the ambassador, like Elite Black Sash was saying in one of their comments. Um, yeah, so like you're talking about, so one of Elite Black Sash's comments mentions like there aren't ambassadors. So I'll try my best to be at least a little ambassador, right? So because yeah, I think it's great. I've learned a ton of kung fu styles, and so just want to do my part. Yeah. All right. Okay. So thank you very, very much, and I think it's probably good for today. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening or watching. All right. Have a good one.